let's make it happen. But right now, we do have John from Pennsylvania who wants to talk to us. John, you're live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hi, Dan. Hi, Armin. I called, I think last week about authenticity, and with the Desert Fathers. I think we had a brief comment about that.
We did talk about that.
I'm an atheist. Yeah, I'm an atheist, and I just wanted to see if I can articulate a little bit of uncouple a couple of things in the last call. I don't want to spend too much time in retreading that, but just to see what your takes might be.
Okay.
Yes, I believe the argument was circular. I believe that's the world that that particular caller resides in. However, the experience of an emotional experience is quite independent. Now, it's a real experience. This is how, it's a fantasy experience can be a real experience, and it can be an edifying experience as well. But it doesn't mean that there is an actual God at the other end of it. In other words, you can have an icon before you of any kind. Let's call an icon. You can have the monstrance with the host in it in the Catholic Church, or you can have a surah inscription before you, and you can meditate on that as a sort of electo divino, a divine reading, and you can actually enter the virtue aspect of those things, independent on whether it comes from a divine source or not, because you're accessing something within ourselves, which is about the goodness in ourselves, has an independent, 100% independent of a creator God. It is something that is actually useful for us. We do it in other ways when we read edifying literature that may not be divinely inspired, so to speak. When we go in and we see a great work of art, we have an aesthetic charge. When we see landscape, when we have these pneumic experiences of the world of love and affection and care, of wholeness, these are not divine things. These are very human attributes that we can access through the meditation on iconography, on chant, on all sorts of things. And I think that he falls down that rabbit hole, and he thinks it verifies the whole spectrum of belief epistemologically. And
I think you're 100% right. I think you're 100% right. Armin, you should give your take first. John's talking about our previous caller, of course.
Yeah, I know. I think what John is saying here is something that actually is very important, and something that I think I should have mentioned with the previous caller, is because one thing, when people have these experiences and we atheists respond to them, sometimes what they're hearing is that we're invalidating their experience. We're telling them that they didn't have that experience. Okay. And they think that we're not listening and we're not hearing them. So we should start this discussion by telling them that we accepted that they had that experience, that they had felt that, and to validate that before we go on and talk about what that doesn't mean to us. By the way, is John now speaking, because I'm not having his audio?
Yeah, no, you're coming in loud and clear, Armin. We totally get that. And here's my take on this too, John. I mean, first of all, you said it beautifully already. But like, I do think you're right. What we typically interpret as something divine can have natural explanation to it. I have this coworker, incredibly smart. I don't think he watches the show, so I'll say he works in our IT department and has a degree in philosophy. So he's a smart dude. But thinks that there has to be something divine or something like God-like that created us because we have a capability to love. And I was just like, that's very nice. But like, also, like, would we have a capability to love if we didn't have like oxytocin, for example? Like, you know what I mean? I think there's like natural explanations for this stuff that we find to be so compelling, and that we tend to, as you put it, like validate these other spiritual ideas that actually aren't as connected as we might think. And I think the universality of these experiences, Armin gave a great example about how a Muslim is going to interpret some of that, means that, hey, there must be something natural there, as opposed to, oh, the Muslim God exists, also the Hindu gods exist, also everything else exists. Like, that just seems more likely, right?
Yes, it does. And just on the other end of it, if an atheist or a theist were to invalidate an atheist, let's say an atheist Buddhist who is ensconced in a certain kind of meditation in the moment, whether it be mindfulness or a certain amount of a sutra prayer, that kind of thing. All you can say is, look, they're having this authentic experience of the unity of, which is a collapse of subject-object, really, and it has nothing to do with divine, has nothing to do with their existence of a God, and so all they're left to do, whether it's a numinous experience of landscape, music, whatever, or it's a Buddhist experience of that, all they're left to do is disqualify it by calling it, you're listening to the devil, you're a demon.
Sure.
Or,
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of thing like that out of a defense, which is an invalidation. You're having an inauthentic experience, is what they're saying.
Right.
You are
John,
inauthentic, and that's why I brought up the Desert Fathers before. Yeah.
This is what I think. You need to watch this if you haven't, and I'm going to recommend everybody watching this. There's a documentary. I believe you can watch it I think you could rent it on YouTube, or it might be free. It's called Marjo. I don't know if you've ever heard of Marjo, John, but Marjo is about a guy named Marjo who is a evangelical pastor that went around the country doing these sort of Pentecostal kind of experiences, right? Having people speak in tongues and have them baptized and do these Holy Spirits, and he doesn't believe any of it. And this documentary is about sort of his cognitive dissonance with it, but also just like there's literally scenes where they juxtapose him with these people having these incredible moments, and then the next shot is like him on his bed, like counting the money that he gets from all of this. Like he's just completely cynical of it. And it is incredible because you have to think like, wow, how could somebody like that? Because the rest, I think there's something pathologically you have to have there to be able to do something like that. The rest of us, I think, are like, well, that can't possibly be people. That can't possibly be something that people do, but it is, and people do take advantage of these things. You know what I mean? So
unbelievable. I mean, anyone that has given to a televangelist, anyone who is anyway, absolutely. I've heard of this fellow. Yeah, I'll see it though. It was a great.
You gotta look it up. I encourage everybody at home to look this up because you won't believe it. You cannot believe the amount of, I would say, evil, quite frankly, of a guy who convinced that many people. But that's not to say, obviously, that every person's spiritual experience is the result of a con man behind it. Okay, I'm saying that we have natural wells of inspiration that people can tap into and interpret for you and say what you're feeling right now is the Holy Spirit, or what you're feeling right now is something else, right? So,
now write me a check. Now write me a check. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Well, Dan, thank you so much for taking my call.
Thank you, John.
Armin, thank you so much. Okay, have a great night.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great one.